5 ways to boost your email ROI. Dean Isaacs, Tom Ruich, and I'm going to dive in with the very first of the 5 and 25 tips. And that tip is send more. Send more. So I know a business owner, heard tell about her recently. I know her and heard about her that she's spending a lot of time right now investing in creating ebooks and webinars and lead magnets and doing a great job of bringing people to her business, people who want to hear from her, and they sign up for the ebook and they download it and they learn all about her and all is good. And then she waits for the phone to ring, because what she said about email marketing is, not, I'll do email marketing about once a quarter. I'll send an email once a quarter. And even if she sent email once a month or twice a month, she is missing an enormous opportunity, because the bottom line when it comes to email, especially when we're talking about emailing people who have raised their hand and said, I want to hear from you, I'm interested in learning from you, I like what you have to say, you're missing an enormous opportunity. The more you send, the higher your ROI. Now, there's a big asterisk after that. And the asterisk is if you do it right. If you do it right. And here are the 2 most common objections that I hear when I say to people, send more email. Number 1, I don't have the bandwidth and the time to do it. Well, you're in the right place, because part of what we're going to talk about is how to make it easier, how to make it go faster, how to make it be not a slog, but something that comes more naturally, so that you can get more email out the door more easily without it feeling so frustrating and so difficult. The second excuse or explanation I hear is that people don't like to receive so many emails. And if you send emails that are boring, that are the same old blah, 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 information only stuff that so many people send, then absolutely, you're right. You can't send too few. If you're sending boring, boring, irrelevant email, don't send them quarterly, don't send them once a year, don't send them ever.
Right.
Okay. But if you're sending relevant, interesting, entertaining, more on that in a moment, emails, people want to receive them. People don't mind receiving them. People look forward to receiving them. When I upped my email marketing game from monthly, long time ago, to weekly, many years ago, to more than weekly, a few years ago, to week daily, a year or 2 ago, 2 years ago, my open rates went up, my click-through rates went up, my direct reply rates went up, my sales went up, my opt-outs and complaints went down. When you do it right, more sends means higher ROI. Period. Well, period with an asterisk. Dean, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, we can look up all the statistics in the world, right, about ROI on email versus PPC versus SEO, and everywhere you look, email, the ROI is double, if not triple, some of those other methods. So that can't be ignored. I would add one more asterisk to the asterisks when you say send more. We have to think about the purpose of the email. So a lot of Tom's great content is list nurturing, lead nurturing, relationship building, sort of the marketing piece of the business. Now, he does have some sales offers in there, and we'll talk about those here in a bit. But one of the things I think is really underserved when it comes to utilizing email is opportunity nurturing. So I do a lot of work with clients around converting leads into sales. And so having a well thought out email strategy around actually helping you sell more, not just promote more, is an often underthought piece of marketing of email too. It's not just about marketing. It can actually move those deals from consideration to close a lot more quickly.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's about nurturing. It's about moving people through a process. And in many ways, it's a long game because I have people who sign up for an ebook or for a webinar or something like that, and who then don't buy or sign up for something from me for many months down the road.
Right.
But as you get consistent about building your list and sending emails, all of this begins to roll in a more consistent way. So what feels like, oh, it's so far down the road, well, at some point you're going to be 9 months ahead of those people who signed up, and all of a sudden it's happening on a regular basis.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Understanding that buyer's journey, right? And where they're at in
exactly,
the buyer's journey. Yep.
exactly. All right, let's move on to number two. Oop, pardon me here. Number two is inform and entertain. Here is the challenge for so many of the people in the room, so many of the people who are going to be watching this on video, so many experts, authors, professional service providers, coaches, consultants. You know a lot. And that's a good thing. You have so much knowledge that you wish to share. And many of you, rightly so, think, well, it's what I know and it's my experience that is so important. And in many ways, that is true. But when it comes to email, information is not enough. When it comes to marketing content in general, information is not enough. Information, even when you think you have a secret sauce and an edge and all that kind of stuff, information is a commodity, and you're not going to stand out just by sharing what you know. And if you just share what you know, it's going to fall on deaf ears. It's going to be more of the same, blah, blah, blah. Here are tips about how to do this. Here are the secrets to do that. And people will tune out and move on. And the other hard part about it, going back to the first slide, let's say the topic is how to delegate more effectively. Well, if you communicate how to delegate more effectively as a information only lecture, here are 5 tips to delegate more effectively. When it's time to send more email down the road on that topic, what are you going to do? Spout the same lecture? No, you can't. And that's why it's so important to frame the content that you're delivering within stories, within entertainment, to make them more captivating and more interesting. As just an exercise recently, I asked ChatGPT, more on that in a moment. I asked ChatGPT to find me Bible verses that talk about the golden rule. Okay. And so do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Important tip, right? Well, what so many experts and content creators do is they'll say, here's a very important tip for you. You need to do unto others as they would do unto you. Information, blah, 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 blah. Here's why that tip is important. Okay. But if you think about what is the Bible, it's a collection of parables, of stories, and the golden rule is taught and repeated countless times. I kept asking ChatGPT, give me more, give me more, give me more. I have a list a mile long of places in the Bible where the golden rule is taught, and in each instance, it's a different story. It's a different, some Jesus, some in the Old Testament, some with the disciples, so on and so forth. And people aren't reading the Bible and thinking, heard that one before. They're reading the stories on and on and on because each time it's presented in a different way. Inform and entertain. Most of you who are here today are on my email list. You know what I do and how I draw people in. And I'm sharing the same ideas over and over and over again. But each time I share them, it's through a different story, a different hook. And that's what keeps people coming back. And that's what connects you to people in ways that the information only crowd cannot. So Dean, what are your thoughts on that one?
I mean, repetition is the key, right? And it's how you deliver that repetition. So different stories, different examples. We know that's how we share and people absorb information. But the thing I would add is consider different mediums on email, right? We think email, we typically think text and maybe some images, but video can increase your click rate by 300%. So what about occasionally embedding an email? A video in your email, right?
Yep.
What better way to show yourself and your talent and explain and connect than on video?
Yep.
So don't think it's just text and image. There's a lot of other options when it comes to video too. When it comes to email too.
Absolutely. 100%. All right, let's go to number 3. Let's see, how are we doing on time? I think we're doing pretty well. Number 3, sell more. We're all in business. We are all in business now. Most of the people I work with, I think all the people I work with, are good people who care about their clients, who want to serve. We want to serve. We want to help people. And if you're not that kind of person, you probably don't belong in the room with Dean and me. So yeah, service and providing value and helping our audience and helping our clients is important, but we're here to make a living. And the products and the services we deliver are that, products and paid services. And so often, it's probably the most pervasive and stupid myth that I see spouted all over the internet. Create content that is valuable 80% of the time or 70% of the time, and then a tiny percentage of the time deliver content that is selling, that is a pitch. That is a dangerous and stupid idea because it sets up the dynamic that content that doesn't sell is valuable, content that does sell is something else. And what you need to, the way you need to see this is that your entertaining and informative content is demonstrating to people what you're all about, building a relationship, making a connection with your audience so they know, like, and trust you. You're having a conversation with them. And then in effect, you're saying, and if you like what we're talking about here and want to go to the next level, here are ways to do it. And if you read my emails, and I know that most of you do, you see that in every email, in every email, there's a footer that says very directly, here are ways that you can do business with me. And in most emails, in the body of the email itself, it says, sign up for this thing or buy this thing or whatever the case may be. The transitions are generally smooth into those things, but I am selling in just about every single email that I put out there. And nobody says to me, oh, Tom, you sell too much. No one. I've never heard that. I occasionally, rarely, but sometimes I'll hear from people who say, I'm just not able to keep up with your emails. Generally, those people are not people who would have been good prospects for me anyway. But no one has ever said to me, oh my goodness, you're so darn pitchy. And there are emails that I will send where it's just about a product or a service. I've sent emails this week that are just about this event. And nobody says, all right, I'm so sick of you pitching events, Tom, or pitching your Story Power Profit Pack, or pitching your email program that you're about to release. Sell more. If you sell more in your emails, if you get over this idea that there's valuable content and then there's selling content, if you get over that idea, you will sell more. You will grow your business in a way that actually feels more comfortable for you and without undermining trust and without making you seem like the pitchy pest. So Dean, your thoughts?
I think that there's one more layer to this as well. So for those that are consultants and professional service providers, and we have more than one thing that we do. Have you ever had a client say, I didn't know you did that?
Mm-hmm.
We all have, right? At some point in time, somebody has said, I didn't know you did. Email is a perfect way to continue to remind your audience of the different things that you do. In my world, I do strategy work, sales, and marketing consulting. And so some people bucket me in the marketing area. Some people bucket me in the sales area based on the experience they've had with me. And they don't often think about the other side. And so email is a perfect way to share those stories about all the different things that you do. So you never hear that infamous, I didn't know you did that.
Right.
It's a way to continue to stay top of mind across all the offers and all the value you deliver.
Yep. Great point, team. Thank you. Number 4, build your list. Seems like an obvious idea, right? But but it is remarkable to me how many people out there are not strategic and deliberate about building their list. They might have an obvious and ubiquitous email sign-up form on their website. They might have an obvious and ubiquitous set of lead magnets, opportunities for people to raise their hand in exchange for a free resource. And if they've gone that far, most are not deliberate about driving traffic, promoting it, being deliberate, consistent, and persistent about building your list. And it especially applies to how you think about social media. Social media, if you are on social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, TikTok, YouTube, wherever you may be, you need to think about it as a means to help you build your email list. Going back to what we said before, email is, Dean was talking about it, the ROI on email versus other media is dramatically higher. Some talk about email as being a 38-to-1 ROI. I'm not going to spout those specific statistics because it varies from industry to industry and business to business. But likes and engagement and shares on social media don't get you very far. I know a social media influencer, one of the top Forbes LinkedIn influencers, who talks about the fact that she gets roughly 2, maybe 3% of all of her sales of her courses and programs, and even into a discovery call for coaching. Those come directly from links on social media. The vast majority of it comes from people she's nurturing through email. So what I'm doing when I'm on social media is I'm sharing content, drawing people to me, trying to build a following on social media, but I'm consistently talking about, hey, if you want to know more, go and sign up for my list. Or if you want to learn more, sign up for an event and you'll be on my mailing list. All of this is deliberate and strategic list building, and there are countless ways to do it. You have to focus on it. It has to be a business commitment, a strategy to build the list. Dean.
Yeah, I think intentionality is where it's at, right? We all spend so much time on social these days trying to build our following, our connections, our likes, and all of those things. And the trouble with building your business with a social media foundation is you don't own that land that you built your business on. You're renting space on all of these social platforms, and if they decide to, they can kick you out. But you own that list. You own that relationship with that list. So every interaction you have, every campaign you run on social, be intentional about moving them from social to your email list. Have a goal in mind. It's so, so, so important. And then when you get them on the list, execute. All right. Send the regular emails. If you have an evergreen offer like a download or something like that, have a campaign when they download that thing. Give them 3, 4, 5, 6 more things of value in a short period of time. So it's not that one and done and they move on with their life. So be really intentional about getting on the list and then extending that life cycle with them as well.
Yeah, I was introduced today to someone who has roughly 10,000 followers on social media. She looks great, has a popular podcast and seems to be an influencer. And I went to her website, signed up for her email list, and it was one of those, buried at the bottom was the opportunity to sign up. And when I signed up, the page churned for a little bit, and then in very fine print, right where the form was, it said, "Thank you." And then I got an email from MailChimp that said, "Hey, you need to click this button to confirm that you want the emails." And I clicked it and it said, "Thank you. You'll get some emails later." And that's an example when Dean talks about execute, that person missed an enormous opportunity to link to a page the moment I signed up that might have a video or just some copy that says, "Oh, so great you signed up. I'm so thank you. Here's a gift. Here's more about me. Here's another thing you can do." And then a follow-up email, not just, "Hey, click to confirm you're in," but here you go. I know we're gonna go a little over 25 minutes, but you have us fired up here. Dean, you pressed a button. Um, I'm currently working on a program called Email Marketing Power that's all about email marketing dives deep. And I wasn't going to get into this today. There are 4 types of emails that I'm going to be talking about in that program. And the first type is the regular emails that you send on a weekly or a daily or a monthly or a quarterly basis. And don't send them monthly or quarterly. We talked about that already. But those regular emails. A second kind of email that you send is the welcome sequence or the follow-up after somebody signs up. Huge opportunity to engage people and to sell after they raise their hand. They've chosen to say hello. They've chosen to raise their hand. This applies when they sign up for your mailing list. This applies when they download a lead magnet of some sort of free resource. And then there are event announcements and follow-ups, emails to make sure people get to the event, emails in case they miss the event. That's a whole category of things that you can create. And then there are ones that are in the service of launching a product. And so in your regular emails, you're making reference to products and services you have and drawing people in, but occasionally you'll launch a new program or a new product. And the product launch email is a 4th category that we talk about. So the first 2 to really get your game on are, what are the regular emails going to be all about? And how often are you going to send them? And what happens when somebody signs up for my email list and saying, "Thank you," period, and saying, "Okay, you're confirmed. I'll start sending you emails soon." Big mistake. Lost opportunity.
That's the lowest hanging fruit from today.
Oh yeah.
Is fix your welcome sequence.
Yep. And I will be teaching that in detail in the new program.
Awesome. Perfect. Yeah.
So number 5, discover your followers' stories before you assemble your stories. So many of you have heard me talk about this guy named Eugene Schwartz, who was among the most prolific and accomplished copywriters of his day back in the 60s, 70s, 80s. And he never suffered from writer's block. And when people asked him about that, he has a very famous line where he says, "Copy is not written, copy is assembled." And what he meant by that, what he meant by copy is not written, copy is assembled, is that you gather the building blocks before you sit down to write. And if you gather the building blocks, which is market research, understanding what makes your prospects tick, what keeps them up at night, what frustrates them, what do they aspire to, what do they dream of? If you have all of that clear in your mind, then you can go from that to, well, what is it that I need to share with them? What are the tips and the topics and the ideas that will help enable that journey from where they are to where they want to be? And all of that is part of what I call story discovery, discovering the prospect's story, the journey they want to take, and how you can enable it. And if you have that clear in your mind, and have that outlined in a systematic way before you sit down to write your emails, then writing your content is not some act of creative magic. You don't have to sit in front of a blank screen hoping the muse strikes. That's how most people write email. Back to that first slide, when people say, I don't think I have the bandwidth to go from monthly to weekly or weekly to twice weekly. Well, of course you don't, because every time you write an email, it's a pain. You're sitting in front of the computer and thinking, what do I write now? When is the muse going to strike? How do I do this? I don't have what it takes. I'm not a creative person. And all of those things are myths. If you can be systematic about discovering your prospects' stories and then understanding the structures that you're going to use, different structure for a regular email versus a welcome sequence versus a selling email. But if you understand that, very easy to understand once you go through it, then you take those building blocks that you gather and you assemble them, and it becomes so much more craft and so much less magic art. And that is what makes it doable. That's what makes it effective. That's what makes it relevant. If you start by discovering your prospect stories, what you deliver is so much more relevant and so much more powerful than just, I'm going to, write another email about how to delegate. It's so important. This is the fifth tip, but it's probably the most important tip. Dean, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think you're right on there, Tom. And I think that then people say, well, how? How the heck do I do that? So I'll give everybody one really easy way to be inspired, to create a list. So always have a notepad, a Word doc, a Google, something open all the time. So when you see a topic, you can write it down. So that's easy. But here's a way to be inspired and figure out what's resonating with your audience is follow those big influencers. Influence is a funny term, right? But those that have a large audience, and that audience mimics the audience that you're building, right? They're working with the same types of clients that you want to work with. Follow their stuff, but be intentional when you follow their stuff and see what topics get the most interaction, the most comments, the most likes, the most engagement, and write those down. That's resonating with your target audience right now, today. That's an easy way to get inspired because, they're doing the same thing. They're listening to their audience in lots of different ways. Leverage all of their resources by watching their feed. Subscribe to their emails. Follow them on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, all the places. But just be really tuned into it and write those topics down.
Yeah, great tip. And here's what most people do when they try to discover their prospect story or develop what marketers often call their prospect personas. They will pull from their head what they think they know. What makes your prospect tick? What keeps them up at night? Where do they want to go? Where do they feel stuck? Well, I'm going to get in a room with a whiteboard and I'm going to write it all down. Or I'm going to pull a worksheet out of the back of a book and fill the worksheet out, and I'm going to be done. It's an okay place to start. It's a horrible place to finish. What Dean was talking about is paying attention and listening, going to the places where your prospects gather. And at Story Power, we teach, again, what we call story discovery, and we teach it as 3 pillars. And the first pillar is what's in your head. Start there, but don't end there. Second pillar is what's coming from the voice of your prospects and your clients. They're telling you things in emails and in conversations you have with them on Zoom, in surveys that they fill out, in the emails they send you if they leave you. What was missing? What did they need? What did they want that you weren't delivering? And then the third pillar is what is the voice of the market beyond your own solar system? What are they saying in discussion forums? What are they saying in book reviews? What are they commenting on in social? And this is what Dean was talking about. Yeah. You discover so much by having a habitual listening approach, paying attention. a curiosity, a sense of discovery. The more you discover, the easier the rest of it becomes. All right. As is our practice here at 5 and 25 land, we often have bonus tips. And this is a hot one. This is hot off the presses.
Yep.
AI, use it as an aid, not as a ghostwriter. All right. We could spend hours talking about AI, about ChatGPT, about tools like that. We won't spend hours. I have spent hours, dozens, probably going on hundreds, going down the rabbit hole, and I've learned a lot about what's good about ChatGPT and AI tools and what's not so good. And here are the key takeaways. AI can be a brilliant assistant, making things easier, revealing places and directions that you can go. In my own coaching program, some of the members of my program are here on this call today. In my own coaching program, we've taken examples where we discover the prospect story. So I work, an example, I work with business owners who are feeling like they're stuck on the hamster wheel and wish they could get away. So I teach them how to delegate more effectively, because delegation enables them to get off the hamster wheel and get away. Please share with me examples from literature, movies, or television that have stories about the importance of delegation and how the benefit of getting away can be realized if you delegate properly. ChatGPT spits them out in about 5 seconds. And one of them was, Brooke, you were on the call. The one about I'm forgetting the movies, but here's a movie, here's a book, here's a example, story ideas, story prompts. But here's the thing that I did in demonstrating that, using that for help to come up with ideas for emails or blog posts. I brought to ChatGPT the facts. I did the story discovery. I knew what the prospect needs from me, and I knew what I bring to the prospect, or in this case, a hypothetical business coach who teaches prospects how to, or clients how to delegate. And I told ChatGPT, here are the facts. Tell me some examples or share with me some stories that I could cite. And then if you've seen that movie and you remember the scene that ChatGPT reminded you of, now you have an email ready to go. You're prompted with an idea. But here's where ChatGPT is going to let you down. Hey, ChatGPT, tell me all about my target market. What they're going to do is scratch the surface, give you cliches, pull based on things that might be 2 years old, when the way the market feels today could be significantly different. The way your market feels, which is narrow and different than the broad market, could be significantly wrong. So, hey, ChatGPT, tell me about my target market. Mistake. Hey, ChatGPT, ghost write my content. Big mistake. Big mistake. First of all, ChatGPT will lie, will include facts that are just wrong. And as much as you may be wowed by the quality of the writing and the speed of the writing, it's not your voice, and humans can tell. And also the search engines can tell.
Yeah, I was gonna say Google could tell too. Yeah,
Google can tell. Yeah. And the most important thing when we talk about making your content entertaining, we're also talking about putting your personality into the content. Part of what content marketing and email marketing in particular is all about is having a real and human conversation with your audience and letting people know what you're about and what it's like to work with you. That's especially true if you are a professional service provider, a coach, a consultant, and so forth. Especially important. And if you rely on a robot to ghostwrite, what's going to happen is you're putting content out there with a voice that's not yours. And when it's time to sit across the table from the prospect, when it's time to coach, when it's time to close the sale, now they're dealing with somebody they don't know, because the person they know and like who got them to the meeting or the phone call was a robot with a different voice and a different approach than yours. Can't emphasize how important that is. And how, as much as you think the quality of that writing is magnificent, you can create content in your own voice that is better. That's better. It's going to have more errors. My content is riddled with errors. I misspell stuff. I make grammatical errors. And that's part of being a human. It's part of being a human. I could go deeper and deeper and deeper. We teach, there are cases we're using GPT to write drafts. Not a bad practice. But rewrite what it produces for you. Check your facts. Bring the facts to GPT. All of those things will keep you out of trouble. Dean, thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'll just hit you with one more idea around that. And you brought up using GPT to write drafts. I think sometimes that's even another roadblock for us to write and create content regularly, is to go from idea to a draft to a final product. So one way to close that gap is to train ChatGPT in your style. So when it creates the draft that you're going to build from, it's closer to you than it would have been otherwise. And one way to do that is to tell it, learn my writing style by using the following content, and drop 4 or 5 emails or blog posts that you've written into ChatGPT, and it will analyze that writing style. It'll give you a quick summary. Your writing style is this, this, and this. And then say, okay, using my style, create an outline based on whatever prompt you've given it before. And then it gives you something that's a little closer to you that you can work from. Because I've seen some, I was playing around with ChatGPT and I asked it to write an outline for an email using how Yoda would speak, right? We all know Yoda. We all know he has a very distinct style, right? ChatGPT got it pretty damn close. So it understands style. So whether it's Yoda or Gary Vee or Tom Ruich, it can do that. But if you want to train it for your stuff, just feed it with some of your content. It works really well.
Yeah, and when you say works really well, I would say it works for people who are extraordinarily famous and have gobs of content out on the internet that GPT has consumed. It can approximate those people,
sure,
and 80% good, 70% good. It's not perfect.
And you don't, you wouldn't want it. Yeah. But to learn yourself, you've got to feed it your content, because it doesn't know you from a hole in the wall, right?
Right. And even then, you still have to rewrite it. You still have to. It falls back on cliches, and people can tell. people can tell. We're falling into that rabbit hole. So I want to leave some time for Q&A. But before we get to that, just very, very quickly, Dean, tell us who you are and where people can find you.
Yeah, absolutely. So my company is Vantage Group. We're a sales and marketing consulting firm. We work with B2B consultants and coaches and help them remove the revenue roadblocks in their business so they can scale. My little lead magnet down there, right in the URL, Revenue Roadblocks Quiz. It's a free scorecard. If you hop on there, take the quiz, take about 3 minutes. You'll get a custom scorecard of the areas of your business, sales, marketing, strategy, and process of where you've got some gaps. And there's a whole bunch of free recommendations that come along with the scorecard too.
Yep. Beautiful. I'm Tom Ruich, Story Power Marketing, and coaches, consultants, authors, anyone who is trying to package their expertise for sale to serve clients, hire me to power up their creative content, because So many of them are still struggling, dishing out the same old blah, blah, blah content. Prospects are tuning out and moving on, and then they feel stuck and frustrated and think, why am I doing this email thing? Why am I doing this social media thing? So I am teaching them how to transform their content from boring to brilliant, how to transform the marketing process from frustrating to fruitful and fun, and ultimately how to convert the bottom line. So last thing about it, again, most of the people on this call I know are on my mailing list. If you're not, go to storypowermarketing.com, where you can sign up for the email list and see me practice what I preach. And stay tuned for email marketing power. I, in just the last week, have been putting the finishing touches on the first module, which I call, what am I calling it? The Implement Now Playbook. And the problem, I think, with so many of the courses and the programs that are out there is that there are hours and hours and hours and hours of content that you have to consume, and you get about an eighth of the way through, and then you run out of steam, and you only have a few of the key pieces you need to actually do anything.
Right.
What we've done in this program is designed it so that the first module is a very condensed version of the whole. Here are the very things you need to do to get going with setting up list building on your website, getting your regular emails out the door, and getting a welcome sequence built and effective. And if you just do the first hour of the program, you'll have everything you need to get going. Then you can dive deeper into the stuff that will help you take it to the next level. So stay tuned. That's coming soon. It's going to be awesome. And this was a good initial taste. Take what you learned here today, what we're going to tell you in the Q&A, and you can make some progress before email marketing power even hits the streets. So Q&A. We have about 15 minutes left. Sorry for going a little bit over 25 minutes, but it's kind of a miracle I squeezed that into 45 minutes. So I'm going to stop the share and hands up, do the hand raise thing if you have a question. I hope there are lots, because this is as important a topic as there is in marketing. Oh, don't be shy. Leslie.
Sorry, the leaves are not out on the trees yet, so I have the afternoon sun coming through here.
Yeah, it's lovely. The sun is shining.
Yes, after a couple of days of rain, it's lovely. So I really enjoyed the presentation and what you had to say. And one of my biggest questions, I think that you answered, I went from kind of one business, and I have an email list there, and merged into more of working with, business people. So I need to either leave that for the business that it is, or what you said you talked about is just at least telling them what my other business is.
Mm-hmm.
But building that list from LinkedIn, I never thought about before.
Mm-hmm.
So you basically, even though you're connecting with people, you can't necessarily, I guess my main question is that you're better off writing articles or putting up posts, inviting people that you already are watching or following you to go and sign up for your email. Is that the best approach?
Well, there are a lot of approaches. It's a great question, Leslie. So approach number one about list building in general and list building on LinkedIn is just ask. I mean, people
Just
think
ask.
people think it's rocket science. It's not. And so when I connect with people, especially people who I'm interested in engaging in a conversation, I think they can benefit from what I do. I like what they're doing. I'll sign up for their email list. I'll tell them so. I'll say, hey, I just signed up for your email list. You want to be on mine? Okay, just ask. That's one way. And I know that based on what you do on LinkedIn, that you do have those one-to-one conversations and your connection building on LinkedIn. So that would be a great place to start. Thing number two, I publish a LinkedIn newsletter, and I think you do too.
I
And
have not, but I've read that newsletter. I like that idea.
yeah, yeah. And so LinkedIn newsletters are different than just regular posts. One of the nice things about LinkedIn newsletters is when you create a LinkedIn newsletter, you have to have creator mode activated on LinkedIn in order to do it. When you set it up the first time, it will automatically allow you to invite all of your connections to subscribe. And so, depending on your connection size and their level of engagement with you, you can go from 0 to many hundreds, if not thousands of people who are subscribed. And LinkedIn will email them every time you post a newsletter. And it's just a excerpt with a link back to LinkedIn for them to read the newsletter. The other thing about a LinkedIn newsletter versus a LinkedIn post is you can put hyperlinks in there without apparent penalty. Now, nobody knows the LinkedIn algorithm for sure, but most LinkedIn experts will tell you that you're probably not wise to put links to outside sites, join my mailing list as an example, within the body of a post. So you'll see people often who will post something, and in the post, it will say, link to learn more or link to take the step in the comments below. And then they'll put the link in the comment. That's a game of, I don't want LinkedIn to penalize me and bury my post because I'm taking people away from LinkedIn. LinkedIn wants people to stay on LinkedIn. But for whatever reason, there doesn't seem to be penalty on when you put a link in the newsletter. So my drill is I just publish once a week an archived email, an email I already wrote. I have a assistant who has a spreadsheet with the dates, the URLs of the archived documents, and she just on the given day publishes them. I published one today about a guy who got bitten by a venomous spider while he was on the turlet. Funny story. And I wrote that email 2 years ago. And at the bottom of the email, I always say, if you like this, go sign up for my email, because this thing started as an email. In my posts, I'll reference opportunities to sign up. And every event that I host, including this one, is designed in part to get people's emails so that they can end up on my email list. Those are just 4 examples, I think that was. Okay.
Thank you.
Dean, anything to add on that?
I mean, there's so many ways to go about it, but I think you've covered the big ones, Tom. Yeah.
Okay. Ray Scott.
Good afternoon, everybody. How are we doing? Good to see you from sunny Tucson, Arizona, by the way.
Terrific.
Very simple question. You mentioned signing up for email lists. I have a pet peeve when I'm reading something and here pops up something that says, sign up for my list right here.
Sure.
How do you all feel about that? As opposed to at, either the beginning or the end, if you want to sign up, click on this link or go to my website.
Yeah. So I have tested and played with different options. And I have to admit, Ray, that my current deal is that if you visit storypowermarketing.com and you don't have, we put a cookie on your computer that says you've been here before. So this only happens the first time you visit. When you visit storypowermarketing.com, you see the page, and about 2 seconds later, a big thing pops up that is my I have a full-on sales letter asking people to join my email list. It's not a simple form. It's a in-your-face, thing that's I'm practicing what I preach. It's entertaining, it's fun, it's got testimonials all over it. And so does that annoy people? Maybe, probably some. But I've tested it and played with it and gone back and forth on it. And I don't want to be cavalier about the answer and say, does it bother people? Yes, maybe it's too bad for them. But there is a certain quality of that I sort of view it as, if that is enough to irritate somebody away from my mailing list, they probably weren't going to be my best subscribers and prospects anyway.
Yeah.
Um,
there are two things there, Ray, I want to make sure you picked up on. One is for new visitors to a website.
Right. Got that.
That's important. And the second is it's one time, right? Even a new visitor, sometimes every time you try and navigate away from the page, that frigging thing pops up, and every new page you go to, it pops up. That is an annoying approach. So the one time for new visitors. The second thing is, I was on a website yesterday. I cleared that pop-up, and then I did want to sign up for the email after I was done reading what I was reading. I couldn't find a way to sign up for the email after the pop-up went.
Yeah.
So if you have a pop-up at one time, it's easy to X out. Make it really easy for them to sign up wherever they are, but not in an intrusive way. Because otherwise, I just gave up after 5 minutes of poking around. I'm like, forget it. I even went out and came back to the website and it didn't pop up again. So make it easy.
Honestly, that story I told earlier about the person whose email I signed up for, I had to hunt for her email form.
Yeah.
And no way I would have hunted for that email form, except for the fact that I'd been introduced to her. She does look like she has something good going. But fundamentally, I saw her as a potential prospect of mine because I think I can help her with her email. The perfect person for me to work with is somebody who is good at what they do, who has a gift that they can bring the world, who already is doing some good things on social media and is completely dropping the ball on their ongoing content creation, especially email. And so that was a perfect example. But if I was her prospect, I would have come and gone. No way I would have, hunted all over the page. Oh, there it is. They're buried at the bottom. So go ahead and you've been on my website, I know, Ray, but go ahead and visit again. And what you'll see, and I'll be teaching this in the program as well, is I do have that pop-up, but forget the pop-up. If you visit any page on my site, you'll see up in the header, there's a button on every page, get Tom's emails. There's a button on every page, get the free training, which is a video training. That's my primary lead magnet. Then at the on the front page, as you go down the page, there are multiple calls to action to join the email list or get the free training. And then on the footer of every single page, those calls to action exist as well. Nobody can visit my website and miss the opportunity to join my email list. And that's part of what we're talking about being deliberate and strategic about list building. It's about making it a priority in your web design, in what you're doing on social media, in everything you do, because that first slide, the more you send, it should have said, the more you send to the more people, the bigger your list, the better. Yep.
Thank you. Good advice. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Allie, looks like you got your hand up.
I do. This is the first webinar that I've been on that you guys have done, and I've gotten so much information out of it.
Oh, good. Thank you, Allie.
My biggest tip was, which I do not do, is I do not have a welcome sequence when somebody signs up. And certainly, did you say you should have a welcome sequence when they visit your website also?
No. So when they sign up for your email list,
right,
you should have a welcome sequence. And one of the things I teach, again, with the idea of implement now as opposed to getting stuck in perfection, is start with a single welcome email.
Okay.
And then turn it into a 2 or 3 email sequence. You can build on that later. So there's a set of emails, or there is an email plus that goes out when they join your email list.
Okay.
And you also do that if they get a lead magnet, and Cobbler's Children's story here, Allie, you bought my Story Power Profit Pack recently, and I recently switched from one marketing automation platform to another, and I discovered in the course of that the follow-up sequence that's supposed to go out after you buy the profit pack actually had been left behind in the old platform. Human error, I'd forgotten to set up the follow-up sequence properly. And I discovered that yesterday when you told me, hey, I never got a follow-up email about that. I'm like, oh, blew it, Tom. So humans make errors.
Thank you for all the information you've shared. It's like different than I've been hearing.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess that's good.
It is good. No, I mean, it is good. You just put a different spin on the way I was looking at things. And I think it's a definite plus for sure.
Good.
Awesome.
Anything else? We're at the bottom of the hour, but I'm happy to spend a moment or two with you. Okay. Well, I'm grateful. Thank you for being here. Thank you for tuning in. I hope this was helpful. Go implement, go execute, take what we've talked about today and put it to work in your business. And I think Dean and I would be grateful as well if you visit our websites. If you're not already on our mailing list, please sign up and please tell others. The best way you can help me is to tell other people about my email list. So thank you all very, very much. We'll see you next time. Dean, any parting thoughts?
No,
You
great
get the
seeing
last
everybody.
word.
All right. Go take some action. Take one tip today and go put it into play before the end of the day.
Dean, could you just mention your website one more time, please?
Yeah, it's thevantagegrp.com.
Thank you.
Yep. And if in doubt, find me on LinkedIn. It's the easiest place to find me too. Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you both.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.
Take care.
Bye-bye.